RCAF Golden Hawks set a new standard for Canadian aerobatic teams. Flying F-86 Sabre aircraft from 1959 to 1963, the Golden Hawks thrilled audiences, demonstrated professionalism of pilots and the maintenance crew, and generated pride in Canada's Air Force. The original team was formed on March 1, 1959, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of powered flight in Canada, when the Silver Dart was flown by J.A.D. McCurdy at Bras-d'Or Lake in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia in 1909. McCurdy was installed as an original member of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame in 1974. Formation of the Golden Hawks team, flying Canadian-built Canadair F-86 Sabre jet aircraft, also celebrated the 35th anniversary of the formation of the Royal Canadian Air Force on April 1, 1924. The Golden Hawks team was established under leadership of Squadron Leader Fern Villeneuve, who was inducted as a member of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame in 2006. The Golden Hawks were originally intended to perform aerobatic shows for only 1 year, to showcase RCAF capabilities for the Canadian public. Previously, 3 Armstrong Whitworth Siskins in 1929 comprised the first RCAF aerobatic team, formed to celebrate the first non-stop transatlantic flight flown by British aviators John Alcock and Arthur Brown, flying a twin-engined Vickers-Vimy biplane departing from St. John's, Newfoundland on June 14, 1919. 40 years later, the Golden Hawks, with 6 F-86 aircraft, comprised a national aerobatic team of the RCAF. In the summer and fall of 1959, spectators at air shows in Canada and the United States were treated to new and breathtaking high-speed maneuvers.
Always there were last-minute discussions, minor changes to be made in consideration of wind and weather. And then it was time to move. Airborne, and the show is on.
Whether the formation called for 3 aircraft, or 4, or 5, or 6, the formation was tight, with wingtip close to wingtip. One outstanding feature, a tight group landing.
Performances by the Golden Hawks attracted huge crowds, and the team proved to be fine representatives of the Air Force. But the team was stood down on September 26, 1959, having successfully realized its goals. But in 1960, the popularity of the aerial ambassadors led to reinstatement of the team, again led by Fern Villeneuve. And 1961, under team leader Squadron Leader Jim McCombe, the Golden Hawks continued to fly, as they did again in 1962, now under the leadership of Squadron Leader Lloyd Hubbard, impressing audiences with aerobatics and precision formation flying. Over 15 million spectators in Canada and the United States had seen performances of the Golden Hawks. Again led by Lloyd Hubbard, the Golden Hawks performed until the end of the 1963 season, after original plans had called for only 1 year of displays. The elegant F-86 Sabre, in its distinctive gold livery, inspired all who saw them fly at every air show. Its 100% serviceability rate was a testament to the maintenance of the aircraft and the team's ground crew, who were highly regarded by the pilots. Although the team's ground crew never received the public recognition accorded the pilots, the pride and professionalism of the ground crew and maintenance officers was evident in keeping the aircraft in top condition. At least 5 F-86 Sabres in their distinctive original colors are located at museums or on pedestals in Canada, and another is displayed at the Technik Museum in Speyer, Germany. And a restored F-86 named Hawk 1 from Vintage Wings of Canada, dedicated to Fern Villeneuve, flew from 2009 to 2015. The legendary aerobatic team was stood down in 1964, but remembered in many ways. In the name of the Golden Hawks Junior A hockey team at Trenton, Ontario, which was the final home of the Golden Hawks. In the name of the Golden Hawks Royal Canadian Air Cadets 540 Squadron in Oakville, Ontario, which carries the name of the aerobatic team. In Medicine Hat, Alberta, where a community basketball team was formed in 2009, celebrating the 100th anniversary of powered flight in Canada and the 50th anniversary of the Golden Hawks. And by the Golden Hawks Trophy, awarded by the Royal Canadian Air Force Association for commendable achievement in military aviation. In 1967, Aviation Hall of Famer Wing Commander O.B. Philp formed the Centenaire's aerobatic team to celebrate Canada's centennial by flying Canadair Tutor jets, followed by the Snowbirds aerobatic team, which was formed in 1971 and also flying Tutor jets. Today, the Snowbirds continue to represent our Air Force and inspire Canadians with their dazzling performances, as did the Golden Hawks when they raised aerobatics to a higher level and established themselves with a firm place in our aviation history. The Royal Canadian Air Force Golden Hawks were presented with the Belt of Orion Award for Excellence from Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame on June 15, 2017.
The public for the safety will get that. Volunteers by donation and by in-kind support of the generous benefactor.
picture of it landing and we're done.
Les îles des portes du Canada sont ouvertes de dédier le Canadair Sabre 5 Golden Hawk à la mémoire de Alexander John Lilies Rouja en Saskatchewan. Pendant les 35 ans de carrière, Alexander est instructeur, pilote d'avion de transport, pilote d'avion de passagers et pilote d'essai.
In the early 1950s, Canadair in Montreal manufactured over 1,800 Sabres, of which almost 1,200 were delivered to the Royal Canadian Air Force to serve in Canada.
Les Golden Hawks étaient facilement reconnaissables avec leur sable de couleur or et rouge. À l'origine, l'équipe n'avait duré qu'une seule année, mais elle était devenue tellement populaire après les 63 spectacles de la saison, des spectacles aériens à travers le continent nord-américain. Ce sont les Golden Hawks qui, les premiers, ont performé l'éclatement vertical, mais c'est cette figure qui était facilement reconnaissable, le cockpit ouvert. Wookie nous salue, mesdames, messieurs. That's right, an open cockpit of the
Of course, by the B-25 Mitchell out of Hamilton. Also the Firefly, the very Firefly. James Bradley of the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum, and Paul Kissman behind that with the Robert Hampton Gray Goodyear Corsair of Vintage Wings Canada. Here comes Woody. Give him a huge...
the Air Force created a spectacular... One of the Sabres used by the Golden Hawks now rests quietly in the National Air Museum in Ottawa, silent and still, but as sleek and polished as it ever was. To keep it company, many distinguished mementos of flight in Canada. They're forgotten now by any but the oldest of old-timers, but they all played their part through the years. It all began in Baddeck, Nova Scotia in February 1909. J.A.D. McCurdy made the first airplane flight in Canada in the Silver Dart. From some 40 miles per hour in 1909 to 500 miles an hour in 1959. The Air Show was the stage for the Golden Hawks. They displayed their talent at shows in just about every part of Canada and on special occasions in the United States. The experts everywhere said the Hawks rated with the best aerobatic teams in the world, and Canadians in their thousands enthusiastically agreed. The Hawks thrilled the crowd with a full 25-minute sequence of maneuvers, all of which are standard for fighter pilots, but with a difference: in beautifully flown, tight formations. Behind every 25 minutes of air show, there were hours upon hours of intensive training and rehearsal. A variety of formations, including deliberately awkward formations, very difficult and demanding. Passes and rolls at extreme low levels just off the deck, and at speeds of up to 600 miles per hour. Each maneuver was dependent on the precise placement of each aircraft. They had to join and split off or meet at just the right moment. A low pass at high speed must lead to a precise position in the air seconds later. Precision was the name of the game, and it could only come from constant practice and superb flying skill. Whether the formation called for 3 aircraft or 4 or 5 or 6, the formation was tight, with wingtip close to wingtip. One outstanding feature, a tight group landing. There were constant ground preparations, too. The Air Force was justly proud of the caliber of its displays and saw to it that every turnout showed the service at its smartest. Every show was somewhat different, but basically the same. There were officials and speeches, and always the very important person who would take the salute and inspect the honor guard. The fame of the Golden Hawks grew quickly, and there was always a crowd of fans to greet them when they arrived. Frequently, the most admiring fan was the very important person. The Hawks were celebrities, and they were treated as such. And so there were always ceremonies, stunts, fun, and games. Naturally, the Hawks were adopted by an Indian tribe and given headdresses to wear and to keep. Cherished souvenirs of happy events. Inevitably, there was a beauty queen or a movie star to pose with for publicity pictures. Television celebrities turned up from time to time and were happy to meet the Hawks and mug a little for the camera and for the pilots. Some of the memories were private fun, like that pesky old car in New Brunswick that didn't seem to want to get to the airfield on time. It was a lot more temperamental than any Sabre jet. Naturally, they appeared at the Calgary Stampede, on the ground as well as in the air. And then, somewhere or other, a young man turned up with, naturally, Hawks. Occasionally, the fun and games were strenuous, like that time in Vancouver when the Navy decided to test the mettle of the Air Force. Some of the best moments on the ground were with the young fans, eager for autographs. This the Hawks really appreciated. Each one of them, as a youngster, had been infatuated with flight and flyers. But the big moments, of course, were the actual shows themselves. They were held all over the country, from Newfoundland to Vancouver Island. From mid-May to mid-September in 1959 alone, there were over 40. Without exception, they drew huge crowds, eager to see the latest in the world of flight. just about ready for the Hawks. Always there were last-minute discussions, minor changes to be made in consideration of wind and weather. And then it was time to move.
Gentlemen, on behalf of the RCAF, I'd like to welcome you to this part of today's flying display. It features Canada's jet formation aerobatic team, Golden Hawks.
Airborne, and the show is on. Singly, or in groups of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, they swooped and curved in the graceful figures of an aerial ballet. Golden Hawks. They were good, very good, and they gave good times and good memories to all who saw them.
The Golden Hawks were originally formed to celebrate the golden anniversary of powered flight in Canada, and were thus authorized to operate for 1 year only. But because of their overwhelming popularity, it was almost unthinkable to consider disbanding the team. So 1960 began another season for the Golden Hawks, and 4 more years of dazzling aerobatic displays across Canada. Probably the T-33 is best remembered by the Canadian public as the mount of the Red Knight, the aerobatic soloist of the RCAF. He appeared at air shows across Canada from 1958 to 1968. The show consisted of loops and rolls, Cuban 8s, horizontal 360s, inverted flight, and high-speed passes. For those who saw him perform, there was nothing more spectacular than seeing a flame-red T-bird against a clear blue sky.
1.5 of pavement, streaked with the tire marks of 1,000 landings. On a signal from Lloyd Hubbard, they begin the takeoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Canadian Air Force proudly presents
the Golden Hawks. The smoke comes on and they start up into their pull-up. Now watch closely as the solos break off to the left and right, leaving the other four in the diamond or box formation. This is the formation the team will be using for most of today's show. Watch the formation as they pull over on their back and dive away to your left. They will be turning in to pass directly in front of you in a steep turn. Not a single movement is wasted.
Coming in from your right, Flight Lieutenant Miller will roll his aircraft, stopping at each 45 degrees of roll. Yet he will maintain his original direction.
Goes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
The team will now combine two maneuvers with two formation changes. On the first loop, they will change from card 5 to flag formation. On the second, from flag to Vic formation.
The two solos turning in. Even a tighter circle and remaining slightly inside the other aircraft. timing of precision aerobatics. Out to your right, the team is turning in.
From the earliest days of flight, aerobatic flying has challenged the pilot and held the viewers spellbound. Wing-walking stuntmen of the 20s have given way to G-suited, highly skilled and trained precision flyers of the space age. For the pilot, the desire to hurtle high into the sky is always there. As manned craft become faster and faster, they'll be driven higher and higher, and someday the air show will be a thing of the past. But in the meantime, aerobatic teams such as the RAF Trebillon Squadron, the U.S. Air Force's Blue Angels and Thunderbirds, and Canada's Golden Hawks are thrilling audiences in every corner of the globe with spectacular displays of precision flying. Tomorrow, they and their brothers will be in orbit, searching out the mysteries of the universe. Godspeed to them in the future. Godspeed to them now.
It's got a great fan page. You can track it across North America. You'll share what it looks like over London. We want to see all your comments and see your videos too. Use the hashtag AirShowLondon or @AirShowLondon on social media. And by